On Wednesday, former first daughter Ivanka Trump posted an image of herself getting a vaccination. And not only that, but she also urged her followers to get an immunization as well. Interesting. So let me just show you the picture. Okay, there she is. She's getting her vaccination. She also put the caption, "Today I got the shot. I hope that you do too. Thank you, Nurse Torres." Yes. Well done. Well done on that. Hey, that's great. You know what? I'm actually in favor of this message. It's actually a positive thing that Ivanka Trump has done. And believe me, I love to get. I love to give Ivanka shit. But yes, get your vaccine. I got mine yesterday. So far I haven't broke out the 5G implants like a scene from Star Trek First Contact with like implants breaking out of my skin as I become a member of the Facebook hive mind, right? No, I'm actually feeling quite normal today. So, great. Hey, good on Ivanka trying to get her followers to get vaccinated. Really, it is the only way to return to a sense of normalcy and ensure the reopening of the country isn't followed by a massive wave of death. There you go. Hey, now that said, you want to criticize her father for not doing the same thing, for getting vaccinated, Melania Trump for getting vaccinated quietly back in January when it could have, meant the difference for him to come out and to say things like, hey, you should probably get vaccinated. It took him months to change his messaging and to admit it's a good vaccine, it's a great vaccine, go out and get it. However, I guess judging by the response from MAGA world, his decision to keep quiet about that for a while might make a little bit of sense, at least to him, because her post on Instagram quickly filled up with angry, rabid, frothing Trump supporters who are refusing to get vaccinated. Now, it's funny because they're talking about, government conspiracies about this. And yet, the vaccine started development under the Trump administration. I mean, the whole, Operation Warp Speed thing. I'm just saying. But anyway, here's some of those responses. One says, I'm losing respect for the Trump family. So over this virtue signaling. I always laugh when MAGA chuds talk about virtue signaling, right? As if some of them didn't literally fly Trump flags and decorate their trucks with MAGA bullshit all over it. As if that was some sort of identity. They wore hats that said, Make America Great Again. MAGA. Virtue signaling. If that isn't virtue signaling, I don't know what it is. But hey, go off, King. Whatever, right? Another said, no thanks. Don't want to be a lab rat. Just say no. Lab rat. You realize that the vaccines have already been tested. And so far, not only did they go through an extensive testing period, okay, as far as vaccines is concerned, but they've also been safely administered to over 70 million people. Yeah, very few adverse reactions. In fact, the system for catching these adverse reactions is so well that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that has been in the news recently has been paused. Why? 6 women out of the 6.8 million who have been vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson shot suffered blood clots. Now, that's horrible, right? One woman, unfortunately died as a result of this blood clot, okay? They caught these cases and said, okay, we're going to pause it. We're just going to pause it. We're going to look further into it. We're going to get the data about this, okay? That's a really good example of not only how rare this is, 6 cases out of 6.8 million doses that have been given out. It really is a good example of how rare it is, but also how seriously the government is taking it when someone suffers an adverse reaction. In fact, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, former health department official in Michigan, recently wrote a post about this Here's what he wrote. As far as we know, nothing has changed about the J&J vaccine since the pause was announced. It remains safe and effective. The question now is simply for whom? Part of the purpose of the pause is to give science a chance to answer that question. So there may be some groups, for example, along with AstraZeneca and parts of Europe, that might be more susceptible to certain types of blood clots that are also incredibly rare. And so you might want to give them the Moderna vaccine or the Pfizer vaccine that hasn't had any issues. So that's the question, again, that science is going to figure out. They're going to look into it, and they're going to come up with a decision later. But he writes, the fact that the safety tracking system built around the deployment of these vaccines, these once-in-a-century vaccines, identified 6 cases of an exceedingly rare event among nearly 7 million recipients of the J&J vaccine should reassure us. It should leave us more secure in the knowledge that if something were to go wrong, they'd know more about it. It underlines the safety part of the safe and effective vaccines we keep hearing about. True. Another did reply, your personal choice, but please don't push this on others. But understand, like, this is how you get herd immunity and crush the virus so that, at some point we get to open up the country and stop doing mini lockdowns and, doing all this stuff and then having gigantic waves. And I just want an end to this whole thing. All right. Let's just have an end to this entire thing. Someone else replied with, no thanks. With a 99% survival rate, I shall pass. With Bill Gates involved, I will not get one. Ah, yes, Bill Gates. Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's Bill Gates with COVID, injecting you with 5G trackers. Bitch, you are not that important. You are not important enough to be tracked. I'm just saying. And really, it's not 99%. It's actually around 98%. But understand, that sounds like it's a lot. But if you do the math, out of 330 million people, if conservatives had their way and we opened up the country and just let everybody get the virus without the vaccines, right? Everybody gets the virus. Then we develop herd immunity that way. 330 million people. Well, okay, 2% of that, you're still talking about millions of people that are dead. I mean, that's a lot of people. Millions. You do the math, it's not good. All right? So that's why we're against that, but in favor of getting herd immunity through vaccines that involve not as many people dying. The whole point is to save as many lives as possible and to end this virus. Okay? And not only that, but it's not just about the deaths. So they always leave other things out. They also leave the side effects of the people who survive, but develop things like neurological issues or kidney and heart damage or lung damage. There are the COVID long haulers, which develop anxiety, depression, brain fog, other neurological symptoms. It's not as if you recover, you get COVID and you recover, and then you're perfectly fine. No, there are people that now have pre-existing conditions as a result of getting COVID, which make them susceptible to death from other things as well, or they become disabled and end up having to get on the disability system, on Social Security and things like that, not because they're not able to work. And so there are issues with this virus that people completely ignore. Another person says, why would you post this? Well, because for the first person in her life, first time in her life, Ivanka Trump actually tried to do something positive. And again, believe me when I say that I enjoy dunking on Ivanka Trump. It's so easy. I will never pass up a chance to dunk on her. But here's probably the only time she has ever did something that was useful, using her position and platform to promote vaccines, and not doing it in a way, by the way, that, helps her. In this case, it's not to promote a product. It's not even self-promotion. It's, hey, thanks for, I got my vaccine. you should get one too. It's simple, it's to the point, it's the message, and it's actually a good thing that she's doing. I cannot find any fault in this whatsoever. It's amazing. Another person says, nope, not putting that in my body. He says as he puts a gigantic greasy cheeseburger in his mouth between puffs of a cigarette. You sure about that, buddy? I mean, you probably put worse things in your body. I'm just saying. Another person says, wow, that's extremely disappointing, but honestly, I'm not surprised. Another says, no, nope, and please stop trying to manipulate us into doing so. It's surprising to see you doing this now, like the left and the Hollywood have been. Well, it's maybe because, we're right and you're not. Yes, I know. It's terrible to say that you're, that Trump supporters are wrong. That's apparently a very bad thing to say in conservative circles. That Trump supporters are wrong, and their decisions are dumb. But it's true. I mean, it's not as if this is some sort of a difference of opinion on vaccines. No. There are people out there. Okay, so there are different groups of people. Okay, there are the ones who see and understand the facts. Okay, they look at the data. It's their job. Okay. They research, they do the data, they crunch the numbers, they make their analysis based on the information that they know and the pros and cons, and then say, this is safe, you should do this, or this is not safe, and you should not do this, okay? Those are the experts, okay? Those people, those experts, overwhelmingly agree that these vaccines are safe and effective and are the one chance at bringing down incidences of getting this virus. A new study, I think, dropped just recently where 90% of people who are vaccinated were not able to be reinfected with the virus. Very, very small amount of people had the virus break through. And even in those cases, the symptoms were less severe than people who had not been vaccinated. So even though you can still get the virus, it affects you far less than it would if you were not vaccinated, and therefore can save you from some of those long-haul symptoms or from being in the hospital and being hooked up to a ventilator. So generally, it's a pretty good thing to do to get vaccinated if you want to protect yourself. All right. So now, there's those people, the experts. Then there are the people who hear from the experts and are like, well, I do trust those people because of their degrees and because of the fact that they study this and they know what they're talking about. So I'm going to take their advice. That's the vast majority of the American people, right? Then on the other side, you got the grifters. You know who they are. These are the people that make money off disinformation. They make money off telling you the opposite of what is true. And we know those grifters. We know exactly who they are. They're the conspiracy theorists. They go on TV or social media and they tell you, well, this is unsafe, or such and such died from this. And so that's why you shouldn't take it. And they're the ones that create the vaccine hesitancy. Okay? And so those are those people. And then finally, you got the people that are in the comment section of Ivanka Trump's Instagram. You got the conspiracy theorists, you got the anti-vaxxers, and morons. Essentially. Morons. They listen to the grifters, make up things to justify that decision, and actively harm the country with their stupidity while screaming sheep or sheeple at those who just want to go back to normal without having to climb over a mountain of dead to go to Applebee's. Okay? Those people are the problem. Those people are the problem. Okay? And not just with this, by the way. I am finding out, or maybe just realizing, or maybe just being open about it, that a lot of things, the worst people in this country are white Republican men. Sorry, not sorry. When you look at the data, who are the people most likely to be hesitant for the vaccines? Or flat out refuse to take the vaccine? White Republican men. The same people who are, again, screaming, we need to open the country, sacrificed grandma. They're the same, again, one and the same. We want to open up the country. And they go and they march on the steps of the Michigan Capitol with their guns. No masks, no social distancing. Okay? They do that, and then they scream sheep at people who get the vaccine. Fucking ridiculous. They're the worst people. And again, not just when it comes to this, okay? They're also hostile to LGBTQ people and their right to exist. Black people, women, they don't like science. They hate facts. And they hate the people that report facts. They threaten people, members of the media, for reporting on things that are just demonstrably true. White Republican men are cancer. They really are. I know. A lot of right Republican men are going to be pretty angry about this. But it's true. It's what you are. You hold back progress in this country. So it's actually not surprising to see that these same white Republican men, and some women in there, are attacking Ivanka Trump for literally doing the only good thing that I've ever seen her do in her life. It's so incredibly ironic. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.